A two-ring cage surrounding 10 guys with staple guns and so much more. Oh no, they've got to keep on moving through broken tacks everywhere. Tony Spain, Daddy's money, but you just don't care on high-priced talents with lowered ratings and attendance dropping by the thousands. Thanks, guys. I'm John Rant with my review of AEW Dynamite Blood and Guts 2024 from the Bridgestone Arena in the once proud wrestling city of Nashville, Tennessee. Let me know your thoughts on this show in the comments, please. And it's time to start at the beginning. And by the beginning, I mean 2021. I'm going to talk about some facts and figures, and then I'm going to dive into the minutia and the detailed storytelling during this particular fiasco. Yeah, it's going to be one of those reviews, guys. So, yeah, 2021. Look, they were going to run it in 2020, and then the world stopped. The pandemic hit, which was legit, by the way. Keep your goddamn conspiracy theories out of the fucking comments. So you had the Inner Circle, you know, when Jericho had one of his 50,000 groups to try and stay relevant against the Pinnacle. Remember when MJF had a group and he was teamed up with FTR and it seemed like they actually might do something? Yeah, Shawn Spears was also in that. So that was the poof finish, you know, where, yeah, Jericho was going to drop and he needed to be safe, but they could have shot it better. So they were at Daly's place in Jacksonville, Florida. And look, because of COVID restrictions, they had like 1,600 fans. I'm not going to knock that. It was what it was. And the fans certainly made noise, like laughter at the end of that particular thing. And they were beating each other up, and it went a bit. It went about 34 goddamn minutes, but boy, that just felt like a breeze compared to the future editions. Now, the capacity for Daly's Place is 5,500 people. And 1,600, regardless, they would up that. That would have double or nothing, and then would go back on the road. And it was nice that they were at least being respectful of the fans and making sure the distancing and all that, whatever. So I'm not going to knock that. And they did have 1.09 million viewers. So, okay, they got over 1 million viewers for that. They would love to have over 1 million viewers now. But then we go to 2022, where we get the Jericho Appreciation Society, where Jericho, Sammy Hagar, Garcia, and 2.0, yeah, they had that many people in this against the BCC, Mox, Claudio, Ida, Eddie, and Santana and Ortiz. I believe this is the one where Santana got injured. I think it was Santana. It could have been Ortiz. I really honestly don't remember, but I know one of them did. And this went about 46-45. That is way too goddamn long. Little Caesars Arena in Detroit, Michigan. 11,500 fans. That's a big deal. That's a 20,000 seat arena, but they got a big crowd in there. 1.023 million viewers. Okay, good. It was, it was right on par, basically. They at least had a good return, and they had a pretty hot crowd. I do recall that. Now, I've always thought these matches are overbooked, and I thought when you're surrounded by a goddamn weapon, you don't need to include weapons, but I'll get to that. But then we go to 2023, which was just last year, even though some of the years in this particular decade feel like they have lasted forever. The Golden Elite, Omega, the Bucks, Ibushi, and Hangman Page before he became Hangman TA against BCC, Pac, and Takeshita. So 51-15, every bit of it. That was ridiculous. No War Games match should last that long, whether variations in AEW or WWE. And WWE has had plenty of issues with their own War Games. Let me just say that. TD Garden in Boston for the 2023 edition, just under 9,000 fans. 20,000 seat building. Okay, they had 953,000 viewers on average. Okay, they dropped a bit, but whatever. Now we get to the 2024 edition, and they went almost 50 minutes, according to, the timestamp I saw. They were at the Bridgestone Arena in Nashville, Tennessee, and they had maybe 5,500 fans. Now, that's not very good for a 20,000 seat building, especially. So I just thought I'd go through the facts and figures before diving into this event that was not good. It wasn't. I'm sorry. This was easily, looking at the cards for the rest, the previous editions. Yeah, there were issues, but 5,500 people, maybe. And I know there were some people that I follow on Twitter that were there, and they were like, okay, we were trying to be noisy, but there was obviously an echo. I will credit the fans that were there for trying to make as much noise as possible. the first thing we see is Alex Marvez. Bless Alex Marvez. I'm sure he's nice. Why is he still here? Why is he still here? For fuck's sake, what I wrote down. He's going to get the scoop on Will Ospreay. 2 scoops of Willie. 2 scoops of Bruv. Gross. But Ospreay can't get to the arena. Where are they at exactly? That they can't... Whatever, it's fine. Fine, whatever. I mean, I know it's goddamn Nashville. I don't think the traffic's all that bad, but nevertheless. Yeah, he's got a flat tire. Marvez, do you have a car? Yeah? Give me your keys. And then Marvez gets in the car with him. Will rushes there. Marvez gets there. Puts his briefcase in the back, or his suitcase in the back. And then Marvez still has the microphone and says, Will, I gotta ask you, have you ever driven in America before? He takes off, so we automatically have bullshit starting. I don't mind having a little entertainment, but they treated Will seriously. I'm not the biggest fan of Will Ospreay, but he has been presented fairly well in AEW. And you have Marvez, who's not good at this. He's never going to be good at this. He should not be on television. Then recast of MJF and Ospreay. Easily one of the best matches I've seen all year. Maybe the best, I don't know. We're not at the end of the year yet. There were cheerleaders that, good God, it's like sleepaway camp never left. Well, maybe not sleep. What was that one about the killer cheer? You know what? This kind of reminds me of the R.L. Stine cheerleader saga. Except those characters were better written. Bless them. I'm sure they're just lovely individuals. MJF comes out, he's all smiles, and he is just soaking it all in. The crowd's chanting, shut the fuck up. His mic seemed to be having some issues. I don't know, maybe it's just me. And as the spotlight shines on me and I excel, it shines on Will, he melts. I'm going to say the one thing I do have an issue with. He mentions, you should take a walk off a short pier. Oh, your grandma died recently. And nothing wrong with bringing up the dead relatives thing, but Christian Cage has done it way too much. It doesn't mean anything. I mean, I guess I didn't actually know that Ospreay's grandmother died. I knew that he had some family issues. I feel bad. It's terrible. May she rest in peace. Bruv. But I don't know if that felt like it was MJF really trying to juice things up when they already had the match and he had cheated. I'm not even knocking him as a heel. I think he's a great heel. I just think that line, landed hollow. And then he talks about the workhorse aspect of the championship, and people love it and everything, and it represents other countries. But no, I want a title that represents the good old U.S. of A. And then he calls the fans unpatriotic and treasonous and all this, and it's time for a new one. He drops the International Championship in a conveniently placed garbage can there. And then unveils the America's Championship. Shrieking world-class championship wrestling noises. Well, nobody from that company really is shrieking anymore. Except Fritz and Hell. But nevertheless, not nasty ass Nashville. But the greatest place on earth. Plainview, Long Island, New York. I've never been to Long Island. I have no desire to be there. But that being said, he's talking about being a champion, everything a champion everybody can be proud of. And then Ospreay got there awfully fast. Awfully fast. I did like the, before that, I did like the streamers, and I did like the flag with his face, in place of all the stars. That was nice. That was cool. And then Ospreay got there really fast. He's fired up. He got bleeped a few times. He mentions how you had to go past, your tiny dick to get the ring. Crowd starts chanting tiny dick. And I talked to Tony Khan because Tony Khan has to have his ego stroked because of course he does. But we have a rematch at All In. Home turf. If Ospreay doesn't win there, I don't know. It would be quick to turn it, away from MJF. But, whew. They built this up nicely. Let's see if they can pay it off. And then, unfortunately, we go back to reality. Oop, there goes gravity. And I think it's Bryce Remsburg, the referee. He shows up. I think it's him. I actually don't know. Some of these refs all look the same. He has a coin. They're going to do the coin flip thing for the War, Blood, Guts game. And he goes through the door, and the Elite have just... Daniels is laid out, the conduit for Tony Khan. The conduit, as it were. And he is laid out. And while they took out Tony Khan, they had no repercussions, so I guess they can just take out Christopher Daniels and whatever. Maybe Daniels is going to insist on being reinstated as a wrestler, and he's going to do so. None of this is any good because it's not like the New Blood Millionaires Club storyline that wasn't any good to begin with. The whole interfaction warfare thing works when you have talent that actually matter. Okada looks like he's just waiting to cash his check. And at this point, I don't blame him. Anybody want to check on Daniels? No, by the way, the Elite got the advantage. What didn't give this show the advantage was the first match. Chris Jericho, the sack of shit that he is, physically he looks horrible, against Minoru Suzuki, who just recently had a medical issue where he had to be taken to the hospital. The man's in his mid-50s. He is a legit tough guy, apparently a really nice guy. He should not be doing this. I'm glad that he's getting a chance to be on a U.S. program on a big stage, even though he's appeared on this program before, and he has appeared in other promotions, but it's an FTW championship match. This was embarrassing. The combined age is 109 years old. Anyway, this is just bad. Jericho won. The match was shit. I mean, it was shit. Because neither guy can... Suzuki moves better than Jericho, for God's sakes. Suzuki then attacked afterwards, and then Big Bill shows up and Brian Keith looks like a goddamn cowboy Oompa Loompa. Big Bill looks like an idiot. And then here's Shibata, and I don't know if nobody knew how to run the goddamn ropes. I know it was a 2-ring setup, but this is just weird. Shibata and Suzuki are teaming up, I guess. Shibata was running the ropes strangely, and Brian Keith, I'm sorry, if this is the guy they're touting as somebody really good, I'm not goddamn seeing it. And anything that Jericho touches turns to shit. Renee was then going to interview Willow Nightingale, but immediately Stokely distracts, Chris Statlander attacks, and Willow is the CMLL Women's Champion, I believe, because Stephanie Vacour, or Vacour, however you say it, went to WWE. I want to say once again something that I said in a recent Raw review. If you have a problem with Stephanie going there, if you wanted Stephanie in AEW, I understand. Don't be a dick and say, oh, she betrayed, she did this. You guys are more worried about the tribalism of this whole thing than the wrestlers are. There's one thing about being loyal to a company that helps you, that company also could cut you at any goddamn time. You need to be loyal to yourself. You need to appreciate the fans. And those who are criticizing Stephanie and calling for her head are not actual fans. Also, maybe point the finger at Roosh. Seriously, look it up. Maybe the guy needs to pull his head out of his ass. Maybe he needs to pull his head out of his ass by the horns. I wish Stephanie nothing but the best. If she had gone to AEW, good for her. I don't blame her for wanting to go to WWE. Already featuring her better. They're trying with their women's division, but, well, I'll get to that in a bit. Nevertheless, so we're getting Statlander versus Willow, I guess, next week. And then Danielson's talking about his injuries, and the doctor's saying, your neck's okay, you need to rest, you need to do this, strengthen it so you can be it all in. And then Jarrett is right off camera talking to RJ City and hears him, and we literally see it over there. So he comes and talks to him, gives him a pep talk, and basically says, I wanted to win the Owen, you won the Owen, I was proud to hold your hand up and everything. Apparently he's a Beatles fan. That's a deep cut. And if you're gonna, if you're gonna go all in, then you need to fucking go all in, basically. You basically need to make sure that, you make this stuff count. Because this is your last shot. You said this is your last year. A good pep talk from Jarrett. And then we go to Britt Baker versus Hikaru Shida. And my God, good grief, Shida. Good grief. I'm happy that Britt is back. And Britt is going to shake out that ring rust and be as adequate in the ring as she was. I don't think she's going to get any better. I really hope that she's just healthy, but she was never been that good in the ring. They have history going back years as opposed to going forward years, because that would be future history, which doesn't make sense. This was okay. I guess Sheeta was a de facto heel. I at one point noted, could Sheeta choke me like that? I don't have issues, you have issues. There was one point where the camera was capturing, and Sheeta was trying to punch Britt. The problem is Britt had her arms up like this, and Sheeta was just hitting the arms like that. I'm not saying you need to hit people for real, but they need better camera work, because if I'm noticing that shit, then experts are really fucking noticing it. The Lockjaw wins it. I mean, I'm happy they both got featured in the first hour. Good for them. I like Sheeta. Britt is at least presented like a star, even if her wrestling ability will never match that. Then here's Mercedes to booze. Not even booze like, we want to see you get beat up, like, you are annoying, go away. She can't talk for shit. Yeah, she's a better heel, but nevertheless. And then suddenly, Tony Khan remembers that Camille was signed to his company. And, oh, she wants to take indie date shit, I better use her. She has a good look. She has poor taste in men. Abusive men especially. But that's alright. Maybe she'll work with Saraya. But anyway, Camille does have a good look. After being NWA champion for about 20 million years, she, after being signed to AEW, I think since at least January or February, she's going to be the heavy for Mercedes. That's good. It's a shame that Camille's already a better promo than Mercedes, but nevertheless. I don't think this signing of Mercedes has worked. I don't think it's worked. She did hit a nice torture rack into a powerbomb. And then the patriarchy's backstage. Good on Nick Wayne, by the way, for becoming a champion. Kip Sabian was backstage. And Nick Wayne said, by the way, I heard your dad died. You know, who cares? Grow up. Kip Sabian's dad died? I mean, I feel bad that Kip Sabian's dad died. I don't know if that's why he's been off TV. I think him and Penelope had injuries. I think Penelope had a personal issue she had to take care of. So hopefully everything's all right. But there's a battle royal, by the way, and I'm just going to say this is a Rampage spoiler if you care about Rampage spoilers. But actually, you know what? I'm going to say the Rampage spoiler for the very end. For the very end of the whole damn thing. It involves a battle royal because they had a 2-ring battle royal. So, yeah, Pac then took on the Iron Savage Boulder and beat him quickly with a brain buster. Excalibur flummoxed and, floundered and fumbled trying to explain who MJF is going to face at a CMLL show. Excalibur needs to just not be a lead commentator. He's not cut out for this. Team AEW's backstage. Darby and Swerve are arguing. Mark Briscoe tries to bring them together. And then the Glamour Mariah May took on I Didn't Catch Her Name. I think the last name was Alexis. I'm not knocking the young lady, but I didn't catch her name. She destroys her, hits the booty bump and the Storm Zero, and there you are. And then Mariah's all celebrating, and then Tony's music hits, and then the music stops, and then Mariah's like, ha 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 ha, I fooled you. But then they keep the camera tight on her. They kept the camera too tight on her to where you knew something was going to go on, and the live crowd's reacting. Suddenly they go back to a wider shot. And Toni Storm is dressed up like she's a mechanic. I don't know what the hell. And she starts attacking, gets in, they get in a big old schmoz, big old pull apart. And she says, are you prepared? Are you prepared to die? Because I am. And Tony Schiavone, by the way, pretty much ruined this by saying, she looks like something out of a Tarantino movie. Well, she fucking doesn't. Fucking Tarantino movies. I like Schiavone, but what the fuck? Anyway, Malenko voices over the video package for Blood and Guts. The rules, 2 men start for the first 5 minutes, and then every few minutes. Because we don't know how to time our shit. Boy, do they not know how to time their shit. And it's submit or surrender. Once all 10 men are in. So then the cage lowers. And then we have smiling Justin Roberts there on the stage. Jack Perry's out first. We go to break. Darby Allin comes out with a tack skateboard. And now we are going to get into blood and guts here. And weapons all around. Weapons all around when you are surrounded by a goddamn weapon. Here are the participants of this fucking embarrassment to goddamn professional wrestling. Yeah, that's the kind of shit it's going to be. Team AEW is Darby, Swerve, Mark Briscoe, and the Acclaimed. I think the only one that actually still gets proper reactions is Darby. I mean, Briscoe still gets great reactions out of sympathy, and because people do like him, the Acclaim don't mean as much as they used to. But Team Elite, you have the Bucks, you have Okada, the $3 million a year man, or whatever he's getting, Jack Perry, who means absolutely nothing, and Hangman TA. So it's blood and guts. Look, I don't care if people want to bleed and if you want to do stuff in a cage and everything. WWE has butchered the whole goddamn concept of War Games. They butchered it in NXT. They butchered it on the main roster because they have matches go way too long. And the biggest issue is you are surrounded by a cage. You don't need to bring in endless weapons. If somebody wants to bring in, like, say, a nightstick, bring in a chair, bring in a chain or something and use that and use it to tell a story. Fine, I understand that. Or you can do what these guys do. Some of these guys that I like. I've given up on Okada. I don't want to ever see Okada in a match again. I don't want to even know that he's on this roster. He is just fucking just rotten. Absolutely rotten. I know he's taken a paycheck. He beat his body up for a number of years. Maybe he still has a fraction of it. I thought Nakamura was broken down by the time he got to WWE, and to an extent he was, but he could still go. Okada's match against Pac is about the only thing he has done of any note since coming to AEW. Everything else he has done has just involved him going not even at half speed, like 10% speed. I have seen snails that are about to die that move faster than Okada. Jack Perry is a waste. A waste of space, a waste of goddamn sperm. It's a shame that Luke Perry didn't pull out that night because nobody would have missed Jack Perry not being in professional wrestling. And the Bucks who meant something to a small audience, and credit to them. They got every single one of their friends some jobs. We'll talk about one of them here in a bit. But the mere fact that the Bucks think that they're worth even a fraction of the money that Tony Khan has given them is ridiculous. And then you have Hangman TA. Yes, the empty-headed dipshit that he is. He does a lot of good stuff outside the ring. For education, he knocked Kane, and that's great. As far as in the ring, though, we have seen everything that Hangman TA is going to do, and that is not that much. And the Acclaim don't mean fuck all of anything now. Not that they meant it. Even a year ago, they didn't mean anything. By the time we got to, like, say, Collision, the Dynamite that I went to, the first Dynamite on January 4, 2023, they were pretty over. If they had shown up at Collision or Wrestle Dream and done any of that stuff, my point is they wouldn't have been nearly as over. They don't mean anything anymore. They don't mean shit. Partly due to Caster's behavior. And the fact that he thinks he's really good, he has a line of BS that he can spout. Unfortunately, that line of BS is starting to stink just a little bit too much. Bowens is pretty good overall. Mark Briscoe doesn't mean anything. And bless the guy. He's willing to bleed. He's willing to beat his body up. But he should be somebody that they should have pushed really goddamn high and they didn't know what they were doing. Swerve is the world champion. He feels just totally nullified. Darby appeals to the people that like him. And a lot of people do really like him. Some more than others. Darby also is a complete idiot when it comes to the bumps that he takes. I've seen him take stupid bumps at indie shows. He doesn't need to, because he's only going to have so many bumps on that bump card, and then things are really going to start to hurt. It's their bodies, and they'll cry if they want to, cry if they want to, cry if they want to, and your bodies will cry too, because you're bashing them to pieces, you fucking idiots. Is that actually how the song goes? No. You know how I'm basically not talking about this match? How I'm just essentially talking about how stupid everybody involved in this is? Because everybody is stupid that's involved in this. And the reason this review is actually going a little bit longer than usual is you would have thought the 2021 version, okay, work some kinks out. 2022, they got a full house or a full-ish house. And don't let your dreams come true. Everywhere you go, there's a lot of, tax that will bash into your back. And then everywhere you go, the barbed wire board will get smashed into you. Ooh, okay, I'm done with the songs. But now, at this point, they are in front of 5 to 5,500 people. Yes, they might get a decent ratings pop. And I'm not their accountant. I don't have any, stake in their business. But I see this stuff and I want them to succeed. And then they do shit like this. Jack Perry throws a chair at Darby. And then they battle around outside the cage. During this 5-minute period, look, there have been plenty of WWE versions of the War Games, WWE and on the NXT brand, because some people separate them. But the whole point is, there have been some that have gone, and done stupid shit before the matches officially started or whatever. I get that. I get it. You want to try and juice things up. The thing is, this is basically anarchy in the arena, just confined to a cage at times. Because it's just them doing mindless bullshit and stuff that doesn't matter. Perry is unconvincing. Totally goddamn unconvincing. There are people in the audiences of every single wrestling show that I have been to that I'm sure could kick his ass. There are plenty of women in the crowd I'm sure that could kick his ass. He is unconvincing, and he, quite frankly, is going to be somebody that better hope that these checks never run dry and that AEW continues to go. I hope AEW gets a better TV rights deal. I also think they're going to go straight to Max. They're surrounded by a goddamn weapon, but they're going to just continue to, bash each other with a bunch of weapons. There's tables and ladders and chairs and everything around the ring. Why? Why? Nick Jackson comes out with an AEW suitcase. We find out what the hell that is. Well, it's a toolbox. Fitting that there's a tool carrying it. Mark Briscoe comes out and tries to fire the crowd up. Bless Mark Briscoe, but this is a lost cause. The crowd was into it. I'm not going to knock that. The live crowd was into it. And this is everything wrong with modern wrestling is what I said. And I love some aspects. I have enjoyed some of the hardcore aspects. I didn't mind Christian Cage against Darby at WrestleDream. Even if the step bumps were too far and they cut up the ring. It was cool to be there for Copeland's entrance. Or his debut, and he broke his leg. Good job. And they brought a ladder in, and I just wrote why. They brought in the Bucks, or the other Buck. He's here. I think Nick Jackson was first, so that would be, Matt Jackson. That's their names, by the way. I mean, Dipshit 1 and Dipshit 2, I guess. Bowens comes out, and he's all fired up, and Bowens really tried here, bless him. But there's tax on the skateboard because Darby is not apparently allowed to have a thought that doesn't involve inflicting pain on people. When Darby can actually wrestle, but is left to his own devices like this, it proves that, yeah, that same mindset that was in front of crowds in Seattle of like 500 people doesn't always translate to a worldwide audience. So, Caster comes in with a chain. By the way, Okada came in at one point with a Rainmaker sign, but before that, Bowens had some scissors. So get Sid Vicious out here. He puts the scissors into Jack Perry's head. You wouldn't be stabbing his brain because Jack Perry doesn't have a brain. And then puts the scissors in his mouth. The thing is, again, you want to inflict pain on your guys' self, I don't care. You guys do whatever the fuck you want. It's your guys' fault if you wake up goddamn sore and you deserve every bit of goddamn pain for putting yourself through all this bullshit. This isn't wrestling. This is like GCW stuff. Why not just get Nick Gage in there? Dear God, don't do that again. Scissors in the head, scissors in the mouth, whatever. Tony Khan books for the sickos. Yeah, well, only the sickos are going to be left if he keeps doing shit like this. Okada has a Rainmaker Avenue where you'll take the money higher. Oh, and then you'll Rainmaker Clothesline and you won't do shit, but you'll cash the checks and they'll get higher. Caster has a chain, then a barbed wire board gets brought in. Bowens gets slammed into the barbed wire board, and then another board gets put on top of them, and one of the Bucks hits a senton. Oh, look. Look. There's... Jesus. They got tacks out of the bag and put tacks in Max Caster's mouth. Again, everything wrong with wrestling. Everything wrong. If you like this stuff, by the way, I'm not knocking you at all. You can like whatever the fuck you want. But I don't like this. This isn't wrestling. It's basically close to deathmatch wrestling, which isn't actually wrestling and never has been. But anyway, Swerve comes out. Hangman didn't end up coming out. And then Swerve comes out, and then Hangman blindsides him and then handcuffs him and basically says, I'm going to eat you alive. Yeah, acting. And then basically one of the Bucks yells, I'm an EVP, lower the cage, start the match. Unconvincing douchebags. And then here's Jarrett and Billy Gunn, and they're trying to cut Swerve free. And then they get... This is after, by the way, Hangman gets back in the goddamn cage, or gets into the goddamn cage. And then Swerve gets freed by Nana, who has some bolt cutter, type things. And Swerve cuts his way into the goddamn cage and gets in there, and then more on that here in a bit. They just do moves. They just start doing moves. Everybody just does shit. And we go into overtime. If they actually had a way to have a concise 2-hour program without having an overrun, maybe they wouldn't be having such fluctuation issues with the ratings and things might actually look better. And then, by the way, a staple gun got brought out, but that wasn't the only staple gun. Oh, no. The toolbox carried by the Tools, the Bucks themselves, had a bunch of staple guns. And everybody goes staple gun crazy. Staple guns. That was easy. That was an easy way to bring down everything that, could be taken seriously in wrestling. So, yeah, Okada gets his middle finger stapled. Okada was the smartest one in this. He didn't bleed. I don't really care, by the way, if people want to bleed. You bleed all you want. It's just WWE goes way too far in the opposite direction, not having people bleed. AEW goes way too trying to go the ECW route. Just bleed, it doesn't matter. But then it doesn't mean anything. So yeah, people were bleeding, the canvas was stained, but whatever. So, Hangman has a miscue, trying to hit a buckshot lariat, but hits Okada. We go into an overrun. We go to a commercial with 4 minutes left of the original broadcast. And then Swerve and Hangman just end up disappearing. And then Bowens and one of the Bucks are fighting up top. There's a bunch of tables set up, and Bowens gets sent through a whole bunch of them halfway up the thing, and whatever. Hope Bowens is all right. If he's not, that was a stupid bump to take, and what'd you think was going to happen? So then they go back inside. More table bumps, more bullshit. A coffin drop that Darby does, dropping through Jack Perry. Or onto Jack Perry through a table. Perry then gets cuffed to the wall. Mark Briscoe hits him with an unprotected chair shot. I've seen a lot worse, and if Jack Perry actually had a brain, or any of the Elite had a brain, or anybody booking this had a brain, then that might hurt. But it's not going to hurt Jack Perry. And if Jack Perry does wake up and has some head soreness, it's your fucking fault, you goddamn frizzy-haired jackass. So then, Darby gets a gas can and a torch. And Darby says, give me a match for the TNT title or I'm going to set you on fire. And then one of the Bucks is handcuffed and says, okay, you got your match. He's like, no, I want to hear you say I quit. Okay, we quit. And then that's it. And I'm saying right now, right goddamn now, I don't want to see any of these motherfuckers in a goddamn ring anymore. You turn me off of Swerve, you turn me off of Darby, you turn me off of every goddamn person that I liked in this match. It was maybe half the goddamn people. This was embarrassing. And not even because of the violence. I don't care about the violence. You do whatever the hell you want. But they're surviving all this stuff, so it can't mean anything. It's pure, unadulterated garbage. And Darby came back and won a match for an AEW World Title shot at Grand Slam on Rampage. Way to sell that shit there. absolute garbage. Agree, disagree with what I said? Like, share, subscribe, Twitter handle in the description. I'm John Ritland, and I think the Dynamite reviews, they may go on, but I may just shorten them up. Anyway, see you soon.